Hello everyone and welcome back to the Bible. Each week we read out one chapter of the Gospel of John. This week, chapter 18. For those who aren't interested, of course, in the Bible, there is no obligation to watch these videos. Feel free to watch all the other videos of the channel. Let's get into it, shall we? Chapter of John 18. Alright. After saying these things, Jesus crossed the Kidron ravine with his disciples and encountered a grove of olive trees. Judas, the betrayer, knew this place, for Jesus had gone there many times with his disciples. The high chief priests and Pharisees had given Judas a squad of soldiers and police to accompany him. Now, with blazing torches, lanterns, and weapons, they arrived at the olive grove. Jesus fully realized all that was going to happen to him. Stepping forward to meet them, he asked, "Whom are you looking for?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "I am he said. And as he said it, they all fell backwards to the ground. Once more he asked them, "Whom are you searching for?" And again they replied, "Jesus of Nazareth." "I told you I am he," Jesus said, "and since I am the one you are after, let these others go." He did this to carry out the prophecy that he had just made. "I have not lost a single one of those you gave me." Then Simon Peter drew a sword and slashed off the right ear of Malchus, the high priest's servant. But Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword away. Shall I not drink from the cup the Father has given me?" So the Jewish police, with the soldiers and their lieutenant, arrested Jesus and tied him. First they took him to Annas, the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who told the other Jewish leaders, "Better that one should die for all." Simon Peter followed along behind, as did another of the disciples who was acquainted with the high priest. So that other disciple was admitted into the courtyard along with Jesus, while Peter stood outside the gate. Then the other disciple spoke to the girl watching at the gate, and she let Peter in. The girl asked Peter, "Aren't you one of Jesus' disciples?" "No," he said, "I'm not." The police and the household servants were standing around a fire they had made, for it was cold, and Peter stood there with them, warming himself. Inside, the high priest began asking of Jesus about his followers and what he had been teaching them. Jesus replied, "What I teach is widely known, for I have preached regularly in the synagogue and temple. I have been heard by all the Jewish leaders and teach nothing in private that I have not said in public. Why are you asking me this question? Ask those who heard me. You have some of them here. They know what I said." One of the soldiers standing there struck Jesus with his fist. "Is that the way to answer the high priest?" he demanded. "If I lied, prove it," Jesus replied. "Should you hit a man for telling the truth?" Then Annas sent Jesus bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Meanwhile, as Simon Peter was standing by the fire, he was asked again, "Aren't you one of his disciples?" "Of course not," he replied. But one of the household slaves of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, "Didn't I see you out there on the olive grove with Jesus?" Again Peter denied it, and immediately a rooster crowed. Jesus' trial before Caiaphas ended in the early hours of the morning. Next he was taken to the palace of the Roman governor. His accusers wouldn't go in themselves, for that would defile them, so they said, they said, and they wouldn't be allowed to eat the Passover lamb. So Pilate, the governor, went out to them and asked, "What is your charge against this man? What are you accusing him of doing?" "We wouldn't have arrested him if he weren't a criminal," they retorted. "Then take him away and judge him yourselves by your own laws," Pilate told them. "But we want him crucified," they demanded, "and your approval is required." This fulfilled Jesus' prediction concerning the method of his execution. Then Pilate went out into the palace and called for Jesus to be brought to him. "Are you the king of the Jews?" he asked him. "King as you use the word, or as the Jews use it?" Jesus asked. "Am I a Jew?" Pilate retorted. "Your own people and their chief priests brought you here. Why? What have you done?" Then Jesus answered, "I am not an earthly king. If I were, my followers would have fought when I was arrested by the Jewish leaders, but my kingdom is not of this world." Then Pilate replied, "But you are a king then?" "Yes," Jesus said, "I was born for that purpose, and I came to bring truth to the world. All who love the truth are my followers." "What is truth?" Pilate exclaimed. Then he went out again to the people and told them, "He is not guilty of any crime, but you have a custom asking me to release one person from prison each year at the Passover. So if you want me to, I'll release the King of the Jews." But they screamed back, "No, not this man, but Barabbas." Barabbas was a robber. And that concludes John 18. I hope you've enjoyed it. Next week, more of the conclusion after the arrest of Jesus. Hope you've enjoyed it. God bless, and have a good week.